Hey guys, welcome back to Totally Random Talk Show. Today we've got another episode for you. We're going to continue doing our letter topics. So basically, if you don't know already, we're going through each letter of the alphabet. We choose topics, words starting with that letter, and we talk about them. So why don't you introduce our first topic, Trayson?
Alrighty, so our first topic will help you get out of let's just say, a wet situation. It's an umbrella, guys.
Yay! Oh, bravo, bravo.
My jokes are subpar today, just like every day. It's a good thing. It means they're dad joke quality.
Which is the highest quality?
Exactly. So, I guess the first thing to say about umbrellas is that they protect you from the rain. But personally, I like the rain. So
Yeah.
I never really find a use for an umbrella because like I just accept the fact that it's raining and then just enjoy it.
See, it's more of a hassle because then you're out in the rain and your umbrella gets wet and you have to like put it all down, get in a bag or something, and it like gets all your stuff wet afterwards. And you're already gonna get your stuff wet in the rain, so why not just not use an umbrella?
Exactly. And I mean it's like $20, $20 for like a little bit of fabric that goes over your head. And like for some people
Just
that
wear a
seems
hat.
like a good purchase, but like yeah, just wear a hat or like wear a hoodie and put the hoodie like on before you go outside or just like enjoy the rain.
See, then there's also you can get tiny umbrellas and you can use those to put in drinks, right? Like
See, those are fun. I like those.
see, but that's a little bit different, I feel like, because those umbrellas won't really like protect you from rain.
Mhm.
They're in a drink. So it still involves liquid, but yeah.
Yeah. Another thing is like giant umbrellas, like more for like the sun,
Mm.
staying out of the sun. Like those can be nice, on like a really hot day when you just need a bunch of shade. But like I also like the sun. So typically I don't use one of those either. I usually just sit under a tree if I need shade. Because like
Or
trees feel a lot
sunscreen
nicer.
works
Or
too
sunscreen, yeah,
to protect yourself, but enjoy the sun.
exactly. So I don't know. Most umbrellas I don't find myself using really ever. But like if an umbrella suits your needs, like you don't want to be out in the rain, you don't want to be out in the sun, or you want something nice to go in a drink, then like by all means, have an umbrella.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how often it rains. Like if you live in a place that rains like say every single day or just about, then you might want an umbrella so you don't get super wet every single day or whenever it rains. But if you live in like the middle of the desert, like say you're like in California or something, like it doesn't rain as much there, so you wouldn't need an umbrella. Like it's not really gonna rain.
Yeah, it's like kind of useless, to be honest, in places like that. Like you're not gonna bring an umbrella with you to the Mojave Desert or like Death Valley.
No, no, you need it. Well, actually, that would be
Like
useful for the sun
for the
there.
sun, but at the same time, like you'd have to hold it there for hours, hours. When,
See, if you're in Death Valley for a few hours, I'd be worried.
yeah,
That's not
no
the
one should be
that's
in
not the
there.
best.
No one should be there at all.
It's called Death Valley for a reason, okay?
Yeah, guys, it's a valley. Valleys are scary.
Actually, I don't even. Is it really a valley? Probably.
Yes. I think it's like a kind of like a basin, sort of. Like there's mountains around it.
Okay, here, let's find out. Because sometimes people name things, but it's not actually.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to think of an example, but I just failed. I failed. Um oh, okay. The Great Salt Lake in Utah. Um, why is it so great? It's like ten feet deep. It's literally 10 feet deep, and there's
I
only
mean,
brine
you can
shrimp that
see
live
it
in it.
on a map and it has like a bunch of salt in it. So Death Valley is the
It's a
lowest
lake.
point in North America. It is a basin, I think. So
So
yeah,
it is.
it
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense. It is since it is the
Okay.
lowest point. This is like 280 feet below sea level.
Oh, wow. Hmm.
Pretty interesting.
That is interesting. So it was obviously underwater at one point.
So yeah, that seems to happen a lot. Like there's a lot of water in places, and when it dries up, it changes into a desert because what I think, well, I don't know exactly for sure, but what I think happens is that because there's just water, there's not as many plants underneath the water. And when all of that water's gone, all these animals that were there can't live there anymore. And so then, and plus the water is drying up, so it's probably the climate as well. So then, like, it leaves behind a desert. It's pretty
Mhm.
interesting,
And I think the fact that there's just sediment layer after sediment layer of just random stuff like underneath the ocean.
like sand. Yeah,
Yeah. Like the topmost layer is usually sand, but underneath that, I really don't know, but it could be like dirt, it could be like rock.
yeah,
But
but
like,
it's not good for plants to grow in,
yeah.
so it doesn't. And there's not enough water left over. That's fresh water. That like it usually it leaves. Like the water will evaporate and go someplace else.
Yeah.
Except for, I guess it would make sense if water stayed in Death Valley a little bit since it's the lowest point in North America. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of
I don't
funny.
know. It's just weird. Nature's weird.
Nature is really weird. Oh, another example, the Gulf of Mexico. Okay. There's literally only part of it is by Mexico. Why is it called the Gulf of Mexico when only part of it is by Mexico?
Let me pull
And
up a map.
why is it called a
Just
gulf?
visualize. Well, what even is a gulf? Like, what is a gulf? Like I know, but like, it's such a weird word. It's a
Okay.
deep inlet of the sea, almost surrounded by mountains. So like almost almost a lake, like a bay, I guess,
Yeah, so
a large bay.
there's four definitions for gulf according to Merriam-Webster. A part of an ocean or sea extending into the land, a deep chasm or abyss, a whirlwind, or a wide gap.
See here, I wonder if I click on. So Cancun is right on the edge of Mexico that dips out into the Gulf of Mexico. And I'm wondering if I measure the distance between, let me get it on my phone. So basically on Google Maps, you can measure the distance between things. And if I measure the distance from Cancun to say like the tip of Florida across the way, we can see how far it is. And um Gulf of Mexico is, why is it in kilometers? It's fine. I can figure it out. Okay, so like this is an estimate, but from Cancun to the tip of Florida, um, in Everglades National Park, it's about 745 kilometers, which is, I think that's like over 1,000 miles. I'm trying to remember because 2 kilometers is 1.2 miles, so um it'd be actually less. So 745 divided,
Yeah.
it'd be like 620 miles, I think.
That's still quite the distance.
Yeah, that
So,
is. Oh wait,
wow.
no, never mind. I was wrong. I was wrong. I did my math wrong.
Oh, no.
It's 463, so it's even less. But 463 miles is no small area. Like if you look, that's like from the distance of like Florida to Texas, basically, which is like half of the United States. So the Gulf of, I guess a Gulf would be a very large bay, but even then it seems like the Gulf of Mexico is just so big that it's like not even really an inlet. at this
That
point.
that's true. And now that I'm looking at it, a lot more of Mexico is covering or surrounding the Gulf of Mexico than I previously thought.
Yeah, kind of.
It's a lot.
Well, kind of like it's. Well, I guess yeah. If the U.S. wasn't there, it wouldn't even be a Gulf. There's, but like just thinking about it, probably more of the U.S. is like it'd probably be just over half because it looks like 'cause it's from Florida to Texas, so that's like 6 states. Wait, yeah, yeah, 6 states, I think. No, wait, it'd be five then.
Yeah.
Um, and then like Mexico, it seems like it's about the same length of area. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
an estimate. Again, it's a
And
map. It's hard to
you also
tell.
got to remember that Mexico was a lot bigger back in the day.
It
And
it was Texas and
yeah,
Utah, Arizona, New Mexico,
yeah, all
California.
of that. So like I guess that makes a lot more sense if they named the Gulf of Mexico like back in that time because Mexico was surrounding most of it.
Hmm.
So anyways, yeah.
So yeah, interesting little history. So yeah, before you mentioned that umbrellas are good for covering you from the sun, and one place that gets a good amount of sun is Utah. So that's our next topic. Now, Utah is a pretty beautiful state in the United States. If you haven't ever been, you should go. Go to one of the national parks. They've got five and
I
lots
think
of scenery.
are all five of them like world famous?
Yes.
I know people come from all over the world, but like I'm pretty sure they're like world famous.
If you've never here, let me just name them off.
Like Gateway Arch, everyone's heard of that, right?
Hmm.
Like
There's,
that's iconic, I
I
feel
think
like.
Zion's is probably the one that most people have heard of.
Yeah.
There's Canyonlands, Capitol Reef, Bryce, and Arches, and then also a little bit below that, kind of in Arizona and a little bit in Utah, is the Grand Canyon, and then there's also Lake Powell. Lots of lots of stuff in southern Utah because all
Believe
of
it or not,
those parks are lower.
I don't think I've actually ever been to Lake Powell before.
It's fun, but right now it's kind of dried up. Like a lot of the
That's
water level has
sad.
gone down, so it's not as great as it used to be, but
Mm,
it's fun.
I'm gonna have to go then. But yeah, so there's a lot of cool national parks to see in Utah, but
Hmm.
there's also a lot of like other cool things too. So like um Salt Lake City is like a fairly big city and there's a lot of stuff to do. But like if you go down a ways to around where Utah Lake is, you'll get to like Provo and places like that, and they have a lot of cool downtown stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I think I should say if you ever go to Utah, don't swim in the Utah Lake.
It's
Um,
it's very dirty, and there's lots of carp and other
it's
and algae blooms, I think.
yeah, that
So it's not a clean lake.
no, it's very much not, which is weird because I feel like most lakes are clean. Like the
Hmm.
Great Salt Lake is about as clean as you can get
See, but that's
because
also
the
salt
salt
water, yeah.
it's because the salt. Like I I haven't actually done this myself, but like I've heard that if you hop in the Great Salt Lake, you can just float and you don't even have to
Hmm.
swim
See, because
because
there's
of the
a lot of
buoyancy of the
salt.
salt
There's
content.
like 8 times the amount of salt of the ocean. So that's also probably why not much lives in Utah, or no, not Utah, like Great Salt Lake.
Yeah,
Um, because nothing can really survive in that much salt.
that's a lot of salt. Like a
Like,
lot of salt.
yeah, it's enough to make you float without having to even use any effort. But still, if you're like on a boat, you should wear a life jacket because you can
Mhm.
still drown. it's,
Yeah,
it's not safest. Like,
you
it's
can
not like you're
drown
just gonna
even when
float.
you're not in the water, which is kind of scary. Just don't swallow too much water and have it go down the wrong pipe. So,
Yikes.
anyways,
So yeah,
Another fun fact about the Great Salt Lake area is that Pirates of the Caribbean, um, part of the third movie was filmed in the Salt Flats,
Yes.
which is really cool. I actually have not been there either, but I really want to go because it looks cool. It's just like picture a desert, but instead of sand dunes, it's just salt everywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing but salt.
Also, another cool place to go to is St. George. They've
Mm,
got some sand dunes and it like some red rocks, some state parks that you can go to and stuff. And go like Snow Canyon. You can climb around. You can enjoy the weather, this the nature, and everything. So yeah.
mhm. There is a lot of cool stuff to do in Utah. And I've been to I think most of the places in Utah. I don't know. I haven't really been to like the top part of Utah, but like well, actually no, except for Bear Lake. I haven't. Bear Lake is really cool. If you've never been there before, I recommend going.
I
Um,
haven't been.
I'll say this, it's very blue. Like very, very blue. Like I looked at it and I thought it was the ocean. And then I was like, oh, I can see the other side. It's not the ocean. But like when you're there, it feels like it's the ocean because of how blue it is and just like it looks so cool. And I don't know, like the water's really cold, which is kind of nice actually when it's like really hot outside. Um, and it's just a cool lake because it's really big.
Yeah, I've never been there, so I'll have to go.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing.
So, one other interesting thing about Utah is there are a lot of inventors that have invented very, I guess, life-changing things. Let's read some off. Okay, so the electric guitar was invented by Utah, the hearing aid, the television, car stereo, and the DVD. And there's probably more. Let's see. Let's find out. Um, Kentucky Fried Chicken opened its first restaurant in Salt Lake City in 1952. I don't know if that's from Salt Lake, but anyways. Um, Also, oh wait, I just thought of something else. Okay, so Pixar um used the software to animate that was developed by the University of Utah, and the first one of the first things they made was a teapot. So it's called the Utah teapot, and that's like their first like 3D model. And so basically, kind of a stretch, but at the same time, it's not. The University of Utah helped Pixar to be able to make movies and become this huge company, part of Disney and everything. So yeah, pretty crazy.
That is really cool. And I actually didn't know that before. So wow.
Well, also, I might not be completely correct. That's just from what I remember. So
I see.
yeah. And also, you can find the Utah teapot, like pictures of it and stuff, if you just search it up. I think that's everything I have on Utah.
I have one more fun fact from back in the olden times. Um, the Transcontinental Railroad connected in Utah, and the last um, pike to be hammered down, I think it's is it a pike?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds right. I don't know.
Um, the last pike to be hammered down was actually like made of pure solid gold. Don't plan on stealing it because stealing is wrong and it's in a museum. So good luck with that.
Or you could just be like Nicolas Cage and
Oh, okay. So um it's the golden spike, not the golden pike.
okay.
Um yeah,
Pike.
is the ceremonial 17.6 karat gold final spike driven by Leland Stanford to join the rails of the first transcontinental railroad across the United States. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, another one other thing that I just remembered that reminded me of is that in Salt Lake City, we have an international airport. You can fly all over the world to lots of places from there. So if you want to visit Utah, you can from a lot of places. So that's cool.
Fly into or out of SLC.
Also, they did extend the airport pretty recently, like built on a whole new section and everything. But so yeah, it's growing.
Hmm. It's very cool. So yeah, that's mostly what I have on Utah, if that's what you have too.
Yeah, same. All right. Why don't you introduce our next topic?
Alrighty. So there, I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of states that are really cool, and there's a lot of states that aren't. And those states I feel like don't have as many cool things. Some of them at least, like Kansas. But like some of the states actually deserve like some recognition, which is why our next topic is underrated. We're going to
So
talk
yeah,
about underrated things, not all the
we're
underrated states.
yeah.
I don't really want to talk about New Hampshire today.
Wait,
No one ever talks about New Hampshire, like
what about North Dakota?
Vermont.
Does anybody even know if North Dakota exists? Is it real? Or is it just some government testing site?
Does South Virginia actually
Wait,
exist?
South Virginia.
South Virginia. South Virginia.
I'm gonna go off on a tangent here.
Think about it.
Did you know that during the Civil War, since Virginia was well, wasn't wait, was it part of the South or the North?
Virginia
Virginia was part of the
was
South.
okay.
Okay. So yeah, Virginia was part of the South, the Confederates. And there was part of Virginia that did not want to be part of that. So they
They
just let
split.
they bounced. They're like, we're out, and that's how West Virginia became a state.
Yeah,
So
but like,
yeah.
wouldn't Virginia be South Virginia? They just didn't call it that
No,
because,
it's East Virginia.
but like, it's more south.
Okay, well, no, no, look at a map.
It's underneath West
Just
Virginia.
just look at a map and you'll see. Okay, so you're right.
It's literally
Well, no,
underneath
it's
it.
underneath it, but it's also to the east. So it's like Southeast Virginia, or it's just original Virginia. So they're just gonna call it Virginia. And then yeah, and then there's West Virginia, which it's kind of
I
underrated, I
guess
guess. I
like
don't know.
it's under it, but like to the side too. So, it's weird.
Yeah.
Why can't they just call it Top Virginia and Bottom Virginia?
But then
Or
but
just combine it and call it Virginia again?
no, they're not combining. We're not having 49. Wait, there's a way to fix this. You combine West Virginia and Virginia to make Virginia, and then you make Puerto Rico a state, and you have 50 states again. And then if you want another state, like what else would be a state, huh? What else?
Um, like what else? That's a
Yeah,
U.S.
where
territory would be a
else? Yeah,
state.
what other U.S.
Um,
territory?
Guam.
Sure, Guam. Let's go. Okay, and then you combine North and South Dakota to be Dakota, and then you have Guam. No, Guam, the U.S. state. I that I don't know. That could happen eventually. But also, where isn't Guam like super far away from?
It's like over in the Philippines. Like
Yeah, that's literally
actually, it's like so
that's
far away.
like not even close. It
It's
wouldn't.
farther away, like a lot farther away than Hawaii.
It's closer to Australia than probably any other part of the U.S.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
yeah, it
it's
is.
insane.
So maybe just Puerto Rico. Sorry, people in Guam. What do we call people in Guam? Guamese? No,
Guamites. I
sure. We'll
really
go.
don't know.
Let's figure this out. So, okay, what are people in Guam called? Like
Guamians,
Floridians.
Guamericans.
But they're only partially from territory. Guamanians. It's actually Guamanians.
Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense because like you have Peruvians and like Colombians and
But Peruvian, like that actually like that works.
yeah,
That's good. Guam is beautiful though. So
Yeah, I've seen pictures and it looks awesome. And I want to go there. I really do.
Just hit up all the islands.
I think Guam is one of those islands that is very underrated because not many people talk about it. More people are like, I want to go to Barbados, or I want to
Barbados
I want to go to Hawaii,
or Australia, the
Jamaica.
largest island.
Yeah,
At this point, it isn't even
Australia.
an island.
It's not. It's really not.
It's
It's
so
just
big that it's a continent. Plus, technically, that
massive.
whole area is a continent. Like there used to be lots of land that like connected some of the stuff,
Yeah,
but not
but it's
anymore.
just gone.
So it's like, yeah, all those islands are one continent. Although, yeah, that's just to make it easier because some people would have been excluded from any of the continents, and it like they'd be like not on a continent, which doesn't make much sense. But
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Anyways,
so yeah, what's some other underrated things? Hmm.
I can tell you right now, um, something that is very underrated, I think, is Capture the Flag.
The
No, I'm just
movie.
kidding.
Okay. Okay.
It's not underrated. No one's missing
If
anything.
if you've been thinking of Capture the Flag, the game, then you're wrong. There's a movie called Capture the Flag from what, 2016, 2015? I,
20
I
some
I don't
yeah.
know. Sometime recently, not too recently. It's about some kids who go to space to capture the flag,
Off of the
the
moon.
American flag. Some other guy wants to steal the American flag. He's super rich and entitled. It- just just search up capture the flag movie trailer and you'll just see
It will show you everything.
the the trailer is the movie. It explains every single thing
Yeah, but
except for one twist that
one twist that they left for the end of the movie
will
that
leave you.
makes it really stupid.
But it's one of those things that it's so dumb that
That it's
it's
good.
amazing, which makes it underrated. So
Exactly.
yeah. Plus, I think it actually got decent ratings.
I don't know. Rotten Tomatoes can be pretty.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes is
Mm.
full of rotten people.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Well,
Speaking
but
of
like
underrated,
critics are like for critics for anything really like kind of like what's a good word? Like they don't rate very high sometimes. They're very strict with their ratings. That's what it is. Oh yeah, it
it's
is from
true.
2015. Okay, so that's
Oh, okay.
not very recent.
It's
It
like
got
7 years.
5.8 out of 10 on IMDb.
It's not the best.
Also, it's by Paramount or
Like,
distributed by Paramount, which is interesting. And I'm pretty sure it was animated in Spain. Yeah, Spanish computer animated science fiction adventure comedy film. Wait, what? Spanish computer animated science fiction adventure comedy film.
what?
So basically,
Why?
it's like it's an okay movie.
Like,
It's like one
it's
of those that you watch once and you're like, okay, that wasn't the best movie, but it's all right. But it's just funny.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's you'll just have to go and watch it if you haven't seen it. Or
Yeah,
just don't watch it at all because honestly, you're not missing like too
you're
much,
not missing out. Go watch something else.
except for the plot twist that makes it all the better.
The plot
The
twist actually makes it interesting.
Yeah, the plot twist that's not anything like that has to do with the plot and doesn't change the story at all until the end of the movie when it's just funny.
And
That's
yeah, I guess you go see for yourself.
yeah.
We won't bore you with Capture the Flag anymore.
Another underrated movie is it's a Disney movie. I don't know if you've ever heard or seen Atlantis before.
I think I have.
I really
Hmm.
enjoy that movie,
Hmm.
but for some reason, a lot of people just forgot that it was a movie.
It's one of those that seems like it wouldn't be a Disney movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like honestly, like it was in the time where like the animation style was so different from like those few years. Let me see, when did it come out?
It was like early 2000s,
So yeah,
2001.
yeah. So like the animation in here, wait, let me just Disney. Yeah, 2001. So like the animation between like the 90s, say from like The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast to the 2000s changed drastically. And then it's like they tried to go back to like a little bit of an older animation style while trying to get some new things, right? To But then like they switched it again later. And then it's like as soon as you got to like the CGI stage, everything changed. Animated movies like Moana, Frozen, Encanto, all those are just CGI basically.
Yeah.
CGI animated. It's still an animated movie, but it's such a different art style. It's like kind of cartoon realism, I guess, instead of just actual cartoons. That it's like it's weird because it seems like that movie isn't really Disney, like the because that animation style didn't stick.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because like it was at that time when CGI was finally coming out, right? Toy Story and Toy Story 2
Mhm.
had already come out, right? And Bugs Life and all these famous Pixar films.
Yeah,
And everyone was like, oh my gosh, like CGI is cool. And they just got really excited for that. And they just
yeah,
forgot that like movies like
because it was.
Atlantis, Treasure
Mhm.
Planet, Brother Bear, they're just like, oh, these are
Yeah,
movies.
it was like it was because right. So like and they had their Disney Renaissance, right? With again Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, and even I would stretch it a little bit further to like Princess and the Frog, even though that's from 2009. That kind of that era was like they hadn't had like it had kind of like a dry period, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Disney
yeah.
that was the Disney Renaissance, and then I guess those movies, Brother Bear and Atlantis, and all those were kind of the transition point because they were trying to go back to kind of classics, right? But they were also trying to transition forward to CGI, which is a totally different thing. Like that completely changes the way your movie's made because you have to do it in a different way. So
Hmm.
like I feel like those movies were definitely like just the transition.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like they did some like 3D like in Tarzan, they have like the like 3D kind of effects with the 2D anime. Like they try to make it look kind of 3D at times.
Hmm.
You know, like when
They add like 3D elements, right?
yeah,
With like the
like when
he's
he's on the
sliding down the
tree.
tree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I always thought it looked a little wonky, but like that's kind of part of them like just experimenting,
That's how I
which
feel with
yeah.
Aladdin, right? Like the
Hmm.
part where there's the lion that comes out of like the sand and he's like only one man turn stuff. And then when they're like flying through the Cave of Wonders, and it's like total
Yeah.
CGI and you can tell, but like it's still cool because like, you know, they're improving upon innovation and
Yeah. Because
so
we got into the oh wait, sorry. Or were you gonna say something else?
no, no.
Okay, yeah. So we got into the point where they were experimenting enough with CGI, like Disney and Pixar. I guess Pixar is part of Disney, so I'll just say Disney, where they were experimenting with CGI to improve it, get new ways to do what they wanted, right? What they wanted in their movies to the point where they've created their own system for animation and everything, and like they've updated it to improve upon each of these things. So like you'll see in like Tangled, Rapunzel has really long hair, and part of that like hair is pretty difficult to animate especially when it's long. And from there up to now to say in Kanto, the hair has become so realistic that it looks like real hair in the movie. It's just interesting because like they've just kept experimenting, right? They try new things every single time to just come out with better and better movies with new and interesting ways of using CGI. I'm just curious to see where it goes from here because it seems like right now is like it can either skyrocket to be something completely different in a few years or it will stay the same and kind of plateau in a way.
Yeah,
That was a
I
weird
agree.
rant, but
No,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. And I mean, you're not wrong. I was reading a thing on Facebook, and it was really cool actually. I was talking about like the anniversary of Brave, which for those of you who don't know, Brave is a Pixar Disney movie. And so it was really cool because it was like talking about like cool facts of the movie, right? And one of the facts was like about Merida's like hair, like Merida's like the main Disney princess in the movie. They were talking about like how like many strands of hair she had, and it was like a couple million, I think they said,
Yeah.
which
Hmm.
is a lot, and they had to like animate each one of those like to do different stuff so that it would look real. And
Like
like if you watch the
flowing.
movie, it looks real, like it looks really cool.
Hmm.
And
Another
so, oh, sorry, go ahead.
another interesting thing about the hair is that it uses slightly different gravity settings for the physics than everything else in the movie, right? Because they kind of animate with like that, like I don't know. But anyways, so then it's like slightly more flowy because of it, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool actually. So I actually agree with what you've been saying. You know, a lot of it is just really fascinating. Um, oh, okay, here we go. So let's see. Okay, so it wasn't like millions, it was 100,000 strands of hair. So
Hmm.
not as much, but still pretty impressive. Anyways, yeah, that was a weird rant.
I mean, aren't they all? Or, everything's a little strange.
This is true.
And I don't know. I have we talked about enough underrated things? I think that's good for today. So
Yeah,
let's
I
talk about
think that's
something
good.
else that's strange. The universe. We know so very little, yet so very much about the universe at the same time.
Know everything but nothing, and that's what makes it scary.
And I think for a while, like sure we have pictures and stuff, right? But we don't really know what's out there because we've only experienced and seen things from a very close um perspective, I guess, because if you think of how large the universe is, we've only seen a tiny amount of that. We we've barely do like I'm pretty sure don't we have a satellite that's outside of our solar system now?
We do. It's outside the solar system, currently floating around in the Milky Way. Um, Voyager 1.
Okay.
It's actually really cool. For those of you who don't know what this is, Voyager 1 is a space probe that was launched by NASA on September 5th of 1977. Basically is just part of a program to like study the solar system and eventually get into interstellar space. Um, so let me see where it is right now actually. Um, it is now traveling more than 11.6 billion miles away from Earth.
Wow. That's insane.
Yes. And
Sorry.
it's currently still transmitting, but they're reckoning that in about 10 years they won't be able to get a signal because currently I think it takes about a day for the signal to get back to Earth.
Which is
And
actually pretty impressive considering how far away it is.
and considering the fact that it like this is a probe from 1977, like that's old.
We barely had well, we didn't have like home computers at that point. A few years later we did, but like at that at that point we didn't have like the same advanced technology we do now.
Yeah. uh, it's crazy, honestly. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
So yeah. So but that's the thing. We don't have a satellite that's outside of the Milky Way. We've only been able to explore the Milky Way galaxy and that's our scope, right? We don't have anything outside of it except for from satellites that view things from very, very far away.
Right. And like we have the Hubble Space Telescope, but
Uh-huh.
that's about the best we can get
Yeah,
for now.
for now. Hmm.
Yeah.
It'll always improve, like everything does. And
Another, oh, sorry,
oh,
go ahead.
and like, but I just think it's crazy because, well, actually, so the interesting thing, we're able to tell the size of planets and like and some other information about planets just based on little tiny things that we see in a telescope and like the shadow of a sun on it. Like it's kind of crazy, but like you basically like using really complex math, we can figure out the mass of planets. So we basically discovered these far, far away planets. And it's just it's kind of crazy how we do that without really seeing them close up.
It really is, honestly. Another fun fact, just about the Voyager one in general. Um, they have this contraption on it. Um, Basically, it's a record player, and attached to the side is a golden record for the record player, and it's supposed to be like universal, right? So like any like life form can figure out how to work it, but like it looks really complicated even for me. Anyways, it's got like a bunch of weird sounds on it, right? It's got like iconic songs, from like the 70s. So we're talking like the Bee Gees and stuff, and like all the
Yeah.
all the good bands of the time. And then they have like a giant photo book full of like photos just of Earth and life. And
Uh-huh.
it's really interesting, actually. Um, I don't know what NASA was expecting, like, that would be used for, but then again, like, aliens can exist. So it's just kind of funny.
Yeah. In fact, the odds of um aliens living on other planets is almost 100% because the universe is so large, so big that the amount of planets and galaxies in the universe leads to the possibility, probability being very high for there being things or living things outside of Earth because it seems very unlikely that there'd be just one single planet in the whole entirety of the universe that would have people. And I think, right, there could be aliens that look different than us, but I would assume that they'd probably look pretty similar because we're here surviving on a planet and we have for thousands of years. I'd assume if others, I guess humans, aliens are, they'd look similar. But yeah,
Yeah, it's really interesting, and that's why we say like the universe, we know a lot, but we don't know anything at all, right? Because we learned that black holes exist, right? Um, because math showed that they could exist, and then we finally found pictures of black holes, and we're like, oh,
took
they
us
do exist.
years to get them.
Yeah, but like it just makes us wonder, like math supports the fact that wormholes can exist too, but we have not found evidence to prove that a wormhole exists yet. So you never know.
See, and it's interesting because technically we've come up with math, right? It uses principles that we've discovered, but it's so it's so hard to think about, right? Because it's super complicated. But we've kind of come up with these concepts of math to explain the world around us, even though math is just these symbols, these pictures on a piece of paper or on a computer screen or wherever that display information. It's because it's just interesting how our brain can process that and be able to understand things better using that and being able to accurately explain things and discover things just using an equation. It's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
crazy.
it's insane. You could measure the exact amount of like volume that like a can of soup has. And that's insane because like normally like your mind would just like look at it and be like, oh, this probably fit like this amount, but you can find the exact amount because we have math and
Mhm.
we created that, right?
Yeah.
Which is just really cool.
And that reminds me too, like, so hundreds of years ago, map makers would make maps, but they wouldn't be accurate. And it wouldn't be accurate because we had no, like, they had math. They used really complex math to be able to map things out, but they didn't know exactly the scale of things, right? But now it's crazy because we have satellites. So we have the exact measurements of everything, like all the continents and everything. Like, you can be assured that they are probably just about 100% correct because satellites are so like precise and specific. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy how far we've gone and how much further we can go.
Yeah, it's really quite insane. And I mean, like right now I'm uh on the exoplanet exploration NASA site, and like it's showing a bunch of stuff about like if the possibility of life on other planets is like real, like something that we can do. And mostly what it's saying is we can uh like create life on another planet, which is really cool.
Mhm.
But they have not found another Earth with life yet, which could change.
See, I'd assume it's hard because our scope is so small. We'd have to, because you can't really tell, like, there are ways to find that out, I guess, but it's pretty difficult. Like, it's hard for us to know much about planets that are far away. We definitely can't really. Well, yeah, I'd say we can't really know for sure for a while until we figure out a way to better look at planets from far away and be able to know what's on them.
Yeah. I guess what I just said didn't really pertain to what we were just talking about. We were
That's all
talking
right.
about math.
I mean,
But
it still does. It connects.
yeah. Anyways, um I think that's all I have
Yeah, same.
or want to say because I could rant about the universe for hours because there's way too much.
So much to talk about.
Yeah,
So little time.
very.
So
Speaking of time, what say you it's time to pull out our trusty ukuleles and play a song?
okay. Um all right. So for this, I guess why don't we, since I don't know how long this has been going. It's been a little while. We don't want to keep you for too long. So why don't we give a few thoughts on ukuleles and then we can each play a song.
That sounds good.
All right. So my thoughts of ukuleles. Honestly, ukulele is a really good instrument to start with. If you feel intimidated to start an instrument, right? Like, there's so many. I, I'd start with the ukulele, just learn a few songs. It's a pretty simple instrument, and you can buy some on Amazon for like $10 if you don't have very much money for an instrument. So it's a good thing to start out with, and because like instruments are expensive. So yeah.
Yeah. I like ukuleles just because they are cheap, right? They're affordable for the people who can't like pay for a guitar or a piano, but they still like can do a lot of cool stuff and they sound really cool too. Like I don't know, the notes that they play just like sound super happy and cheerful, which makes it like an amazing instrument, right? And I mean, a lot of ukuleles are cheap because, they have a lot of cheap elements and they tend to break, but you can still use it, right? It still makes music, which is amazing.
Mhm.
The fact that we've found out how to make music in the first place is just amazing.
Yeah. And here, right, let me figure out when it was made. So let's see. So originated in Europe and was introduced to Hawaii in 1879. So, well, okay. So, but in Europe, it was a little bit different. It was more just meant to be a small guitar, and So yeah, I'd say this is definitely a Hawaiian instrument. Um, it's pretty cool because, well, yeah, because if you think about it, like we actually haven't known about Hawaii for that long, only like 200 years. About
Yeah.
that's a pretty short time period. It's like it's crazy because like there's all these islands and stuff that we didn't know about for a while.
Yeah. Like we were just secluded from the rest of the world, but now we're mostly connected
Yeah,
in every way. So,
what's the word for that? There's
um,
see we talked about this in geography. Um, I'm trying to remember. It's like
solitary,
no, 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 not solitary. Like it's the act of like oh my gosh, I'm
disassociating
I'm
yourself from like other,
I'm trying to well not disassociate just like the
just like,
when the world becomes more connected. I'm trying to remember like there's a specific term for it.
oh,
It's like I'm trying to remember world. I don't know how to explain it. Sorry.
I know what you mean. I know what you're talking about.
World.
That's gonna bug me if I, okay. I'm gonna try and look for the answer. Let's see.
Um. See, I
I
don't.
don't know.
I'm trying to remember, and it's gonna bother me if I can't. Sorry for being so quiet right now, but I'm trying to figure this
Let's
out.
just have a moment of silence for everything.
Um.
That was a good moment of silence.
Yeah.
Silence. The sounds of silence. Oh yeah, I have a ukulele, but I'm gonna wait until we play our songs. So
For goods, yeah, I think it's like the the best way I can explain it is like I think it's like goods being more accessible around the world. I don't know. Uh, Globalization, I think. That's what it
oh
is.
that
Globalization. Okay, so globalization is basically when like so right, we had sorry, this is a tangent, but we had Europe and Asia which were connected and at one point that's all everybody knew about. They knew there could be other land but we weren't sure.
Mhm.
So globalization is when the spread of humanity reaches further and it's basically like the world is smaller, right? So like there were people in the Americas who were
Mhm.
far away from the people in Europe and didn't know about them, and the people in Europe discovered that, and and so then the globalization, I guess, occurred, and
Mhm.
so then you have, I guess, further reach, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just it
you
seems
have more
interesting
resource, more untapped
that's
energy
because
to
that's what
exploit.
happened with Hawaii, right? We didn't know about the island Hawaii and we discovered it, and there were people there who'd been there for a long time, and so you get introduced to this new culture, new food, new, well, yeah, new everything. It's just interesting because like it kind of like changes everything for everyone, right? Like it could be a good and a bad thing. So
Yeah,
yeah. All right. Back to ukuleles. I guess we should start play a song. I don't know if like copyright laws, but
yeah. I'm
uh,
I'm not really sure. I think we're fine because we're not earning money from this.
and
So like,
I'll just sing a little bit, not too much.
yeah,
All right. Um, who should go first?
that's a good question.
Let me just okay. I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay, I haven't practiced this in a while. I can't do it very quickly, but it's all right. Okay. A long, long time ago, wait, wrong chord. Sorry. There was a volcano living all alone in the middle of the sea. He sat high above his bay, watching up. Wait, sorry, under pressure.
No worries.
Watching all the couples play, wishing that he had someone to. And from his lover came this song song of hope they sang out loud every day for years and years. Uh, I have a dream I hope will come true, that you're here with me and I'm here with you. I wish that the earth see the sky up above will sorry, send me someone to love.
That was beautiful.
I need to
That was beautiful.
practice to get better at strumming that.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not very good either. So brace yourselves. This is gonna sound like a donkey. Okay.
Aw. Sorry.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. There we go.
Bravo.
Okay.
All right. I guess we can leave it off there.
Yeah,
Hopefully our
that's a good
singing
ending note.
wasn't too bad. I'll practice for real. Maybe learn some new tunes. And maybe we can do this again sometime later.
I agree. We should do this. We should honestly just play more instruments.
Yeah. Part 2 of the instruments. We did this a while back. We played a bunch
We
of instruments.
did.
We didn't sing as much, but
Yeah.
that's all right.
Didn't we do the kazoo? I swear there was a
Yes,
kazoo
there
involved.
was a kazoo
And
involved.
there was a guitar and a piano and
The ukulele as well.
ukulele was in
Harmonica.
there. Harmonica.
Recorder.
Oh, it was a recorder, not a flute. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
So
Baroque. If it ain't Baroque,
don't fix it.
I'll tell you. Good show.
Just a very snooty laugh, you know.
All right.
And off on that note.
I guess
the canon
the canon. Yes.
is an instrument.
That is a good instrument.
One of my favorites.
Go look up 1812 Overture with cannons. It's by Tchaikovsky. So yeah.
The canon became an instrument after that song.
Yes. Well,
It's
it was always an instrument at heart until
yes,
then.
at heart until that moment when it was finally officially an instrument. So
we'll leave it off on that note. And as always, stay random.
stay random.